Hi everyone, welcome to Health and Men Talk. As you can see, we're not in the usual studio today. We've kindly been allowed into Jim's house, and we're going to be doing an interview with Jim today. I'm Shane Mitchell, this is Jim, and you've reached Health and Men Talk. Okay, so thanks for having me.
More than welcome.
Right, I've seen you on TikTok. I think that's how we sort of connected on TikTok, wasn't it? So tell me a little bit about what you do, because you've got your own channel as well, haven't you? So
yes.
You do quite a lot. I've seen it with ADHD and Neurodivergent. So just give us a little bit about what you do and how that started as well.
Okay, so it started when I first started getting what I thought was depression.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be ADHD burnout.
Right, okay.
So
you got diagnosed with that? Is that okay.
I was there thinking, oh, I'm just really depressed and really overwhelmed and like I just can't go on. And I was getting really manic episodes.
Yeah.
And it's like nothing was working. No medication. I was taking every medication the doctors would throw at me, and nothing was working.
That must have messed with your body as well.
Oh yeah, I actually felt worse on some of the medication.
As in like drowsy and
yeah, like extra drowsy and a bit more confused.
Okay, yeah. So obviously you went to the doctors, told them it's not working. So how did they then say, right, okay, let's get you tested for?
I was under the mental health team,
right,
and my mental health nurse was like, "You've got a son with autism, and you've got a son who's neurodivergent.
Yeah,
and chances are that's come from somewhere because it's hereditary."
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's hereditary, and it passes down through genes. And the nurse said to me, she goes, "Oh, do you want to do a test? Do you want to do these tests for me?" So one was for autism and one was for ADHD. And I scored quite highly on both.
Okay.
So she said, "Oh, I think we better look into this because this could be why you're struggling." She said, "A lot of the things you're having are what triggers autism and ADHD.
Yeah.
Because you're going through overwhelm and stuff."
Yeah.
I would go into a job and I would burn myself out. I would go as hard as I could in a job.
Doing the job?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would do everything possible to make sure I am the best at that job.
Was that part of the condition? Like with the ADHD, it's like, I need to be the best, I've got to do the best.
Yeah.
So you were doing that, burning yourself out.
I was working 40, 50 hours a week.
Right.
And then having my son every Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Until Sunday afternoon. And then I was just rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
And I eventually got to a point and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I was having real dark thoughts.
Yeah.
And they were constant, and I was struggling to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the worst. I think with sleep, when you're not sleeping,
it
makes everything magnified 10 times over, doesn't it?
And I've always struggled with sleep.
Okay.
Which is ADHD as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, do you know, it's mad when you think about it, all the things that you did before, like you just, I'm just struggling to deal with it.
Yeah.
So when you got that diagnostic, how did that make you feel?
It made me feel validated. It made me feel like I'm not broken.
Yeah.
It made me feel like there's actually something why I feel this way.
Yeah.
And it's helped me to build.
That's brilliant.
The diagnosis has helped me to put in place coping strategies.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Because I know to look out for the signs.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas before, you just had to try.
I would
try and work it out.
It was literally a case. I've lost 2 jobs due to my mental health.
Yeah. Because
I was burning out. Because I was getting to that stage of complete burnout and overwhelm.
Yeah.
Then going back to a doctor giving me more medication.
Cycles.
This CBT course constantly. Then I'd get like have a period of rest.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh yeah, I can do this again. And then repeat the cycle again.
Yeah. God, that must be so draining. Like, you know.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
And then once I got my diagnosis, I ended up, before my diagnosis, I was at home bored. Really, like my brain was just mush from all the medications and therapies and everything else. I was like, what should I do? I need to do something. And I was sat here unable to sleep one night, and I thought, oh, download TikTok.
Yeah.
I thought, I had the initial thought of, oh, TikTok's just full of people doing stupid dances and all this sort of stuff. And then I was coming across like loads of ADHD videos.
Okay.
And it was people explaining what they were struggling with.
Yeah. So you find your
And I was like, that's me. That's how I struggle. That's what I got wrong with. That's what's going on with me. And then about a week or two after that, I was going into people's lives and talking to fellow people who struggle. And I was learning from them all these different things that I just thought was me being me. I didn't think of it as anything wrong.
You're lucky in a way.
Yeah.
Because you found an audience. Now there's millions of people out there that might not go on TikTok, or you know, they don't have an audience, they don't have a community, and they're lost. So thinking about those people, how do those people, because in a way they're slipping through the cracks.
Yeah, they are. Definitely.
So with your experience of going down the medical route with doctors, etc., how long from the start of doctors to that nurse diagnose, you know, give you the test, say, right, you got ADHD?
Yeah.
How long was that period of time?
That period of time was probably 7-8 years.
Yeah, well, see,
and I've struggled with anxiety and depression, or what I thought was anxiety and depression, since my childhood.
Yeah. And then only the last, well, obviously from that start 7 years, I suppose what the point I'm trying to make is, like, if you think how coming off your own experiences and then you finally getting the help you needed because someone on the off chance recognized your son, is like, oh, let's have a look at you. If let's just say that was me, and I wouldn't know. I just think I'm, like you said earlier, I'm just normal. This is just what it is. How would I go and ask for help? What questions would I need to ask? You know, I think I possibly could be this. Can I get tested?
So there's loads of resources online where you can take tests. There's a magazine called Attitude Magazine,
right,
which is an online magazine for neurodivergence.
Yeah.
And it's got a testing thing on there, and it will ask you a load of questions, and then it will decipher whether it's anxiety causing the issues or something else.
Okay. Free?
Yeah,
free,
completely free. And you can then print that out and give it to your doctor or your mental health practitioner and say, I think this is what's wrong with me. Can we look into it?
Yeah.
And then they'll do their official paperwork and tests.
Right. Okay.
And then you can just say, once they've done all that, they will then refer you.
Yeah.
But
that's brilliant then. If there's
there's a big but.
Oh, okay. Go on.
The waiting in the Gloucestershire area alone, the waiting list, is between 5 and 6 years for an ADHD diagnosis.
Oh my days.
And between 7 and 8 years for a autism diagnosis. So I did something called Right to Choose, which anyone can do.
Okay.
You do you fill a form out, go to your doctors and say you'd like to do Right to Choose. And you get to pick a private prescriber.
Right.
And the NHS will fund it.
Oh, well, no wonder they don't really advertise that, do they?
Yeah. And then your waiting list will become 6 months or 8 months.
That's a hell of a lot different.
And that's That's the
6
difference.
years.
It's
Now, what can the NHS do more? As opposed, do you think it's a lack of funding? Do you think it's a lack of training? Or not necessarily a lack of empathy from the NHS, because obviously their whole point is care. What would you put it down to? The lack of resources?
I would say it was a mixture of all of them.
Okay.
And the problem is, the same as like the school system, everything is like backdated and prehistoric.
Yeah.
It's not with the modern times.
Okay.
It's not with, you haven't, if you look back, say, 20 years, there was nobody going for these autism tests,
Yeah.
ADHD tests. There was none of that.
Yeah.
But now,
Yeah.
there's so many undiagnosed people getting tested. And that's why because there's more awareness around there.
Yeah.
There's more people getting diagnosed or more people going for diagnosis. But the NHS is underfunded and understaffed, because when I spoke to the NHS, I spoke to the people in Gloucester Hospital that carry out the tests, and I was like, I had a conversation with them. She was like, oh yeah, we've only got 2 of us here at the moment, and
Of the whole hospital?
Of this whole like unit, because they have a separate unit for it.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, we've only got a couple of people in at the moment, and we're training new people, so that's why we got such backlog.
Jeez. During that whole period of the trouble that you've probably had to go through, the pain, and again, from your son's point of view, for him not knowing what's going on in his mind,
Yeah.
you know, and you not knowing why they like it, and the confusion and the anxiety that cause alone.
Oh yeah.
You know, because you, whether you like it or not, it does change the way you live your life. It does change the way you interact with outside forces. Yeah, so mate, I don't envy that at all. That's mad.
It changes the whole outlook.
That's mad. All right, so okay, so obviously it took a while to get going.
Yeah.
Did you get diagnosed before you downloaded TikTok?
No, I only got diagnosed last year.
Would you say TikTok helped you in that way, or because you were listening to these people and going, "That's me," and then they were like, "Oh, get tested," and you were like, "Maybe I will." So the power of TikTok.
Yeah, because I found the right people that understood me.
Yeah.
And encouraged me.
Yeah.
I was able to learn from those people to manage myself before the diagnosis.
Yeah.
And
would you have done it beforehand if you had that support, or do you feel like was that like a turning point? Would you have carried on as normal, or would
I would have? That was a turning point for me, because I gained that understanding of myself.
Yeah.
And everyone I spoke to all had similar issues like myself, amongst other issues like issues to do with addictions and stuff like that, because that comes part and parcel with ADHD.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about ADHD. So, to the audience who don't know or wouldn't know what ADHD is, especially I would say a lot of the older generation, they don't, like you said, about 20 years ago, no one knowing what it was. So, how would you explain, in your own words, what ADHD is?
The technical term is it's a chemical imbalance in the brain, and we are missing. People with ADHD are missing certain chemicals in the brain.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. ADHD people crave dopamine.
Yeah.
That's one thing that they crave because it's what they lack.
Yeah.
So they get the dopamine to boost their serotonin levels up.
Yeah.
Which is something else they lack.
Yeah.
And
that cycle of chasing all the time.
Yeah.
Chasing
So it's a constant chase of dopamine, and that becomes unhealthy in some cases because people seek the wrong sort of dopamine.
Yeah.
So a typical person will have one thought going around in their brain, or one idea.
Yeah.
I've got probably 6 or 7 at once.
Yeah. Yeah, all fighting for attention.
Yeah, it's the best way of describing it is you've got 6 DJs in your head,
Yeah.
all playing different songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just a massive muddle of stuff.
Yeah.
And you're trying to depict which song to pick.
Yeah. Which one do you like the most?
Yeah, and then you've got to try and manage that.
Yeah. Which is hard enough as it is.
And then like there's executive dysfunction as well, which is really big in ADHD.
Okay, what's that?
So say you're doing say you've got a load of housework to do.
Yeah. Always got housework to do.
Normal person would just get on with it.
Okay.
And smash it out.
Yeah.
Executive function, on the other hand, for a person who's neurodivergent, they will sit and get overwhelmed by all of the work, all these things they got to do. They get overwhelmed with it.
Yeah.
And then nothing gets done. And then they beat themselves up because they didn't do anything.
It's just that, again, everything you've said, like with the ADHD and then divergent, it's just everything's that cycles, isn't it? It's you breaking that cycle.
Yeah.
You think straight, you just boom, 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 boom. Yeah, God, it's tiring.
And your brain's constantly going, no matter what. So you can get into bed at night, be absolutely exhausted. Then your brain will just switch on and be like,
about that kind of thing.
Here's 20 years. This is your life. Here's all your mistakes you've made over 20 years.
You start thinking about when you was at school or something. Like, remember when you tripped up and everyone laughed at you? Like, 30 years ago. No, I get that.
Yeah.
It's that quietness, isn't it? And then you start thinking,
it's
because your brain's trying to find something to think about because it can't be calm.
Yeah.
So it just latches on to whatever. Yeah.
That's every night for me.
Yeah, mate, honestly, I don't. To be fair, one of the reasons why I want to come and do an interview is I think it's important because, like, the problem is with men's mental health. A lot of people focus on depression.
Yeah.
With men's mental health, right? Well, mental health as a whole.
Yeah.
But we're obviously talking about men's mental health. Everyone focuses on depression, like, oh, you've got to be depressed. It's not always depression. It's anxiety.
Yeah.
Right? It's the ADHD is the neuro. Am I saying it right? Neurodivergent.
So you got
it's things like that, you know. It's
OCD.
OCD. That's another one.
That also comes under the neurodivergent umbrella, as does PTSD.
Yeah.
And so does CPTSD, and so does there's autism. There's dyslexia, dyscalculia.
Yeah. What's that?
Numbers. It's all about numbers.
Right. Okay.
So you got dyslexia is all about letters.
Yeah.
And dyscalculia is all about numbers.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's mad. I always think of it like that. But you get what I'm saying, like it's not. I mean, depression is obviously a big thing because that tends to be sort of at the end of the spectrum because everyone builds towards that.
But you've got to try and find. I don't know about you, but when I've ever dealt with like professionals and stuff, they don't deal with the root cause.
No.
And that root cause can still be there regardless.
Yeah. So
you just end up trying to cover it over.
Yeah. Mask it.
Yeah. You just try and mask it, which is a big thing in neurodivergency, is masking.
Right. Let's talk about the divergent levels, all these different things. Explain to people at home what it is, and then explain the umbrellas that you just talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Give me your words.
So neurodiversity there's a big umbrella of it now, of all these different complex things that class as making you neurodivergent. So you have OCD, so obsessive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Compulsive disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got ODD, which is oppositional defiance disorder.
Okay.
And that is when somebody is arguing with police and people of power.
Right. Okay. So is that authority level? People just like they okay.
People will just argue and
yeah.
And then there is PDA, which is pathological demand avoidance.
Okay, go on then.
So that is,
Okay. Yeah, I just put it, just in my head reading it. Like, yeah.
yeah. So pathological demand avoidance is somebody could say, oh yeah, I've done it with my son before. I've been like, oh, try and do this. Then about 5 minutes later, full on meltdown and full on like, because he doesn't want to do it.
All
Or
right.
because
Instead of
it's
just
the
like, no, I'm
PDA.
done with this now.
Yeah, like the PDA is, they refuse to demands basically.
Okay. Yeah. Is any of these things, are they age related?
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
Like, can you get this? Can this come on, or you just have it when you're born? Can you develop these? I know, like PTSD, obviously.
PTSD you can develop, but things like ODD, PDA, and stuff, they normally come in packed with autism or ADHD. They're normally like a sub part of it.
Yeah.
So they come together. There's also eating disorders as well.
Okay.
So my son suffers with an eating disorder called ARFID.
Okay. What's that?
Which it stands for Avoidance of Food Restrictive Intake Disorder.
Jesus Christ. That rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
So what's that? Does that mean like not picky with his food, but
no? It's a lot to do with textures, smells.
Yes. Yeah.
Along with traumas. So he had food poisoning, a food bug once, like a sickness bug.
Yeah.
And after that, he went for 3 or 4 months, no eating. Went just no food intake for that whole 3 or 4 months.
Because he associated eating with being sick.
Because they associate the food with, that's the last thing I had. I'm not eating again.
Yeah. Well, that's like adults when they've been on
piss,
haven't they? And they drink like too much red wine. Okay, I'm not touching that for a long time.
Sambuca,
yeah. When I was younger, yeah. But yeah, you can see it, can't you? Like my daughter, my middle child, she a few years back, she went through sort of a spell like that. She was so worried about being sick, she wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
Because whenever she was eating, obviously the digestion system's biting away and it's trying to break it down. But because all the gases and bubbles in her tummy, she felt sick. She was thinking, I'm going to be sick, so I don't want to eat.
Yeah.
And it was tough few. I think she probably went on for about a good year. Like she would eat, but real small amounts, and then I've got to go to the toilet. Like she wasn't throwing up, but she needed to breathe and sort of like compose herself.
My son's been like this since he was 2.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard enough for them.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones thinking it and living it. But as a parent, all you want is for your child to eat right, be healthy, exercise, like do all these things. But when they're fighting, when you don't know that they have a condition or anything, you're just putting it down to kids being stubborn, and so then that causes stress, and then that causes stress for the kids. Everything's just always cycles, isn't it?
You get like, oh, he's just being a picky eater.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. Yeah, that's again. Other people like to say they're awing, don't they? Like, if he was my child, I'd make him eat it.
Yeah. Or, he'll eat when he's hungry.
Yeah.
That was the other one we had.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll eat when he's hungry. No, he won't.
Yeah, that's because stressful.
He doesn't feel the hunger as well. Yeah. So he struggles to take the food in. He struggles.
Okay, so he doesn't, when he is hungry, he doesn't feel hungry. So he doesn't know that he's hungry.
Yeah. Oh. Same as thirsty as well, which is quite common in other neurodivergent things, is they're thirsty. So we don't remember to have a drink. Yeah. Yeah. Or go to the toilet.
I'm similar. I'm just, God, I haven't drank water in ages. Like, do you know what I mean?
You're like, oh yeah, I'm really thirsty.
Yeah. So like, all of a sudden, you're thirsty.
Oh, I haven't drank anything but coffee for the last.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, like the worst thing is I could drink coffee. So I'm on the road a little bit, so I'll get coffee, I'll stop off, I'll get coffee, la la la. You get over, like, I've got a lot better. I try not to drink after 3 3 o'clock, no more caffeine. Because I was finding like come 10 o'clock, I'm like, like I'm buzzing. Like
caffeine did the opposite effect to me.
See, it does for me.
Caffeine
makes me tired.
Makes me tired.
Yeah.
Like when I used to work, I used to do a thing called a nappuccino. So I'd make myself a really strong coffee, so I knew I could have a nap before I go to work.
Yeah.
Because I used to work nights, so it was like, all right, I need to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I can't sleep because my mind's too wired. Let's have a coffee.
Yeah.
And it just mellows you out, and yeah.
That's actually a chemical imbalance in yourself, isn't it? I've looked at that because I always find like most people in the morning have coffee to wake them up to have sex.
Yeah.
But I'll have a coffee in the morning. It's more just to sort of chill out. It's not like like I need that boost.
I have the coffee to regulate myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And try to prepare myself for the day ahead.
Yeah. Just to focus the brain a little bit. Not so much literally like caffeine gives you that energy, but just to focus the brain a little bit. What sort of so with your son, obviously he's going to be going to senior school.
Yeah.
So are you preparing him for that, or all the things that he's going to have to do when he goes in?
Yeah. So we did a walk around a couple of months ago. Had a walk around the school that he's going to, because he's a SEND child. They like to break him in and introduce him to it.
Yeah.
So we can have as many sessions as we want.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
For him to learn the school and understand it.
Out.
Yeah.
You know, they think, oh my God, I don't know where
when you're going from primary school, which is like
20 kids.
Yeah. And then you go to the secondary school, which is huge.
Yeah. It's a daunting time.
Yeah. And it's like, so we've been trying to like encourage him, and he's very intellectual.
Oh, that's good.
Like insanely intellectual. Like I'm like, how do you know that?
It's mad when your kids come out with stuff like that, and you're like, You've got to quickly Google it. Yeah, no, it's right. Yeah.
We were sat there yesterday watching something on YouTube, and he was like, "That's that flag." I'm like,
"Yeah,
how do you know that? That's like
perception levels are unreal."
Yeah,
yeah. My middle child's like that. She's like, it's almost not photographic memory because she's that good, but we could be like just driving around or whatever, and let's just say, for example, the fresheners in the car windows.
Yeah.
She'll spot one. Oh, we had that one, didn't we? Like, what? It's the car freshener. like that's like all the way up there. Like what?
How do you remember that?
Yeah, like how do you remember that? But I always laugh. My missus always laughs about it. She's like, how do you remember things like that? But you can't remember I told you to put your shoes on 5 minutes ago for school.
Yeah. It's always the way, though, isn't it? It's the kids.
Selective memory, isn't it?
Yeah. We can't say much because we were probably the same when we were kids.
Oh, right. But then again, we wouldn't have had devices and phones when we were kids. So it wasn't like, it was the telly and that was it.
So it was the telly or go out and play football or go and ride the bikes out.
Kids don't go out these days, do they?
I think that's half the problem with mental health is because, like, kids don't be kids.
Yeah, they can't. I was talking about this the other day with someone, and we was talking about children like having that level of childhood and cut-off point before you hit adulthood. And most people read it and go, "Oh yeah, when they're 18, they're adults, they go into the world."
Yeah.
But I think kids now, they've had to grow up quicker because, like you say, when we was in school, you went to school and let's say there was a bit of bullying or whatever, right? So you come home, you were safe from it till the next day.
Yeah.
Now, and the only information you ever had really was the news or the newspaper.
Yeah.
They're bombarded with information 24/7.
Yeah.
They can't escape the bullying because it's constantly on their phone. They live in a 24/7 world.
Yeah.
And that grows them up really fast. And it's such a shame to see.
It is. I've seen it with like my nieces and stuff.
Yeah.
Because they've been through it and they're like, what?
Yeah. It's mad when you listen to them and like, but you know, it's like, my friends do it, this, that, everyone's, if I don't do it, or if I don't have it. Yeah. It's that stress of like, do you know what I mean? I know it's a third world problem.
And the thing is, that stress then goes on to the parent.
Yeah.
Because the kid's demanding all of these things that their friends have got.
Yeah.
Just so they can fit in.
Yeah. and you might not have the money for it.
Which
And
put,
then it's more stress, and
Yeah.
as a parent. But yeah, I think it's tough enough being a parent. Going back to what we said about the these people being sort of slipping through the cracks
Yeah.
and getting that help for and because a lot of the time when it stems from this ADHD and all these things that people don't understand what's going on, and it slips them into depression.
Yeah.
All right, now I want to cover depression a little bit because me and one of my good friends, we always have this discussion. And for me personally, and it's just opinion, I don't think you ever beat depression.
No,
Right?
you don't.
It's in you. You're a depressive person. You just learn to deal with it better,
Yeah.
and you learn to live a little bit easier. Now, I think the problem is with people with depression, they're always looking for quick fixes.
Yeah.
Hence what we were talking about with the medication, masking it.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, the root problem is still there. Do you know what I mean? The root problem is still there. So let's just say for those people out there, what sort of advice would you give for these people? As in, because you've obviously been down the route with the medical side and diagnostics and stuff like that. What sort of information or advice would you give for these people?
I would say, do your research. You're not alone.
That's the biggest thing. It's to say
No
you're
one
not alone.
is alone. No one is alone. Find the right people around you.
Yeah.
And try to research things that you're struggling with. Because I guarantee you, there's going to be multiple people that struggle with the same thing. And then you can talk to those people and build connections and community.
Perfect.
Which is, if you get those connections and community, you get the understanding.
Yeah.
And you get that baseline of, okay,
yeah,
how can I approach this problem?
Perfect.
You want to try and build that base up so it supports rather than crumbling.
Yeah, see that I think the problem is when you said about chasing that dopamine. So that's where addictions can come into place because you're constantly searching for highs because being depressed in itself is physically draining.
It is.
Because you're constantly stressed, your heart's constantly pounding, your chest is constantly tight. It's draining. So you search for highs, but the problem is you're not necessarily enjoying that high.
No, you don't.
Do you know what I mean? It's just a high, like, oh my God, like on the bet, I've won a bet, yes, great.
Yeah.
Now what, like,
do
another one.
Yeah, do another one, do another one. And then you lose it all, and then you crash, and then you get that whole, so it's the same with alcohol.
Yeah.
A lot of my family, I will openly admit this, a lot of my family have struggled with alcohol.
Yeah.
And a lot of them did it to get that mask, to get that fix.
Yeah.
And they would just drink and drink and drink until it was too late.
Yeah.
And then the problem is alcohol is readily available.
Yeah, that's a big issue that's been in sort of in the media for quite a while. I think, it's the sales and not so long ago it was cheaper to buy a pint than a bottle of water.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When you put it like that, it's
and like now you can just go anywhere and get a drink.
Yeah. But then it's the same with food.
Yeah.
Same with food. So
food's the same.
Fast food or like even food in the supermarkets, a lot of the fatty foods and high salt, high sugar.
Yeah.
That's cheaper to get that than it is to go and buy
some
a load
fruit.
of veg and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as a parent, if you've got to feed a family of 5, you can and you're on bare minimum anyway, you're struggling to make ends meet anyway, you're going to be getting the cheapest food. You're not going to get. So I hate it when they go, just eat well, sleep well, do it. Like that's easier said than done. But when you've got screaming kids because they're hungry and you can't afford to buy fresh fruit and fresh.
And the thing
veg.
is, when you've got older kids as well, they've got big appetites.
Yeah.
So they want to eat more.
Yeah.
So you can't just like
Yeah,
do a small portion for them. They want
Those
an
days are
adult-sized
gone.
portion.
My eldest is 14, and yeah, she's gone on to adult portion. That's when we go out to eat.
Yeah.
Get the kids menu out. She's like, oh no, I want that.
I went out with my family a couple of months ago. My mum was over from Portugal
Okay.
because she emigrated out there,
Oh, nice.
and we went out for a meal. So it was me, my family, my sister's kids, and all the kids like steaks, mixed grills. I'm like, jeez.
Yeah, don't send the check this way, for God's sake.
I was like, since when have my like nieces and nephews turned into full blown carnivorous adults?
Yeah, they do. They do. I mean, I got Jesus Christ, like the two youngest, that they'll be close to it. So yeah, that food bill's going to soon back up. But you know, it is a good. I think it's a valid point where, and because I always try and look at why people are the way they are. And,
yeah.
Obviously, you have your chemical
imbalance, yeah,
and stuff. But I like to look at not like this wrong word, but you know what I mean. But look at the people in their scenarios. So, and one thing that sort of got me, if you look at like this celebrities, let's talk about celebrities. So, people that you think would have it all.
Yeah.
Right. Now let's use Robin Williams as an example. Okay. So, you know, one of the funniest men alive at the time, like, you know, ever.
Yeah.
Right. You look at him, you think, wow, what, you know what I mean? And then, like, he took his own life.
Yeah.
And you're like, do you know what I mean? And then you get,
but then
one single person living on their own, have no money, like struggling like mad.
Yeah.
And then they do it. No one bats an eyelid.
Yeah, no one cares. No one bats an eyelid.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because it's a big celebrity took their own life, oh, that's so sad. And they said, it is sad, but it's funny how people will latch on to people they don't even know. And you can have a next door neighbor who's struggling like mad, and no one would even care.
It's the whole thing of, if somebody sees you with a broken leg, they'll be like, oh, get better soon.
Yeah.
What have you done? And can I help you with anything? But because they don't see what's going inside of the brain, they don't, and people with mental health tend to mask a lot.
Yeah.
Just so they can blend in and try to cope.
And not be judged.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people do still judge.
Yeah.
So you're not going to walk around with a bloody badge on saying, I have mental health issues. Are you? You're just not going to do it.
No.
But if you had, like you said, broken leg, it's a plaster. It's a visible sign. I've broken my leg. Are you okay? Can we help with anything?
Yeah.
But if you imagine if you walked around with like a badge saying, I suffer from mental health, people would they stay away, wouldn't they?
People would stay away, and people would judge.
Yeah.
And people would assume.
Yeah, they assume you're dangerous.
Yeah.
They assume there's, oh God, you've got to be something wrong.
Because they don't know what mental health condition it is.
It's that stigma, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what men's mental health boils down to, stigma.
Yeah.
Because we're at the generation now of people my age and like your age, we grew up with the whole, chin up, carry on, man up,
stiff upper lip, boys don't cry.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because someone asked me this the other day, and I thought it was a really good sort of point he said, was we love labels, don't we?
Yeah.
Right? We love labels and putting, titles on things. And somebody just said then about like, oh, girls cry, boys don't. And like, why do we have to label boys and girls? I say boys and girls, right? And I'm not going down the route of sort of sexuality of, they, them, and all these non-binaries, and are you gay, you straight, all these words. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about from a humanity point of view.
Yeah.
Why can't you just be a human that is struggling?
Yeah.
Like, if you're human that cries, you're human that doesn't cry. Like, don't put boys, girls labels. Put human first.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I thought it was really poignant. I thought it was a really good point, because we do love to label, don't we?
And there's something I've read once, like, we're called humankind. Yeah. So be a human and be kind.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It takes
humankind. Yeah.
it takes no time at all to be kind
Yeah.
and be courteous.
Yeah.
Part of my upbringing was to always be polite, kind, and
Yeah.
courteous.
But those values are gone.
Those values are long gone because nowadays it's people are in shock when you do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, what do you want?
I did it in the
Good
supermarket.
morning.
Did it in the supermarket the other day. I was like, this woman was behind me. She only had a couple of items. I was like, go in front.
Yeah.
She was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, but
go in
you're
front
going
of
to be
me.
quicker. Yeah.
I said, go in front of me. You can get out quicker.
Yeah. What? Oh.
Yeah, and like
Okay.
she was like, I didn't expect that. I was like,
Yeah.
carry on.
Just never want to even just open doors.
Yeah.
Just open the door.
Open and close the door, and
oh, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think that sort of value.
The values are gone.
Definitely disappearing. All right, but let's imagine it is going. What sort of world is that? What sort of world is that us living in? Like, if everyone stopped being nice
Selfish.
to each other, that's another thing. I think the problem is with people. Everyone now is in their own world.
Yeah.
Everything's about me.
Yeah.
The sense of community's gone or going. In places, it's still intact.
Yeah.
It's either going or gone. Sense of courtesy and decency
That's gone.
don't seem to be implied into their children. Parents are not putting it into their kids, which makes me laugh because most of the parents of our similar age, we grew up with that.
Yeah.
So why are we not pushing that on?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like my
I find it
son,
very strange.
My son is. I've always taught him like manners, and I've always taught him like to be polite and kind, and that is what he does.
Yeah.
And
But that's a basic skill, isn't it, Jim?
Yeah.
You know,
it is.
manners cometh the man.
Yeah. Always.
Be polite. We've grown up. I don't know about you, but like, we didn't have no money.
No.
You know, we lived in quite a poor sort of area. There was no money in the area, and you know there was crime around, but like the community stuck together, and it was, you know, we never left the house dirty. My mum always used to make sure our clothes were washed. We never, like I said, we never had no money, but it was always just doing us please and thank yous.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like when you go into, I know it's funny, you go to a McDonald's, right? Put up to the drive-through. Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened to you? Hi, welcome to McDonald's. What can I get you today?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you put your order in. They're like, we want the next window.
Yeah. Not. Oh, can you go to the next window, please?
Yeah.
Or please move to the next window.
Yeah.
Simple.
Move on.
Yeah.
You pull up to the window. They don't even hand it. Just chuck it in the window. No, they don't do that. They
no,
don't do that,
not yet.
Not yet. Give it time.
Yeah, give it time.
But
no offense to any McDonald's workers.
Not saying nothing. No issues with that. But like my eldest daughter, she's 14 now, and obviously she's going to get to an age. You're going to have to get a job. And I've always said to her, it's like, it doesn't matter where you work, whether you're a CEO of a company or you're working at McDonald's, you do your best. You polite. You do your best, and you put the work ethic in. I've got friends, and some of their kids work at sort of, you know, like cafes and waitressing and stuff like that, and they can't bother to go. They don't turn up. They're you're going in today. Like, but you are being relied upon.
Yeah.
And it's not just that; it is building that sense of self-worth. I am working. I am earning my money.
Yeah.
Building that self-esteem.
Yeah.
I think a lot of issue for a lot of this younger generation is they have very low self-esteem.
Yeah.
Whether, you know, circumstances outside their control or not, but I feel they're not building that self-esteem because they're doing the same old things. They're not getting up. They're not putting their all into things.
No.
Not all of them, obviously. I'm proper blanket covering.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but I just think as a generation, I think it's their self-worth. And then I think, well, okay, well, where's that coming from?
Media.
Constantly being bombarded. You know, you're not good enough unless you've got this.
Yeah.
You're not good enough unless you can do that.
You need to buy this.
You need to buy this.
You need to fit in to society.
Yeah.
So you must buy these things. You must consume.
Yeah. How did you feel like growing up? Obviously, at the time you didn't know what was going on with you, right?
Yeah.
So how did you how did you grow up in your younger years, not knowing obviously what happened?
Yeah.
How did you deal with society and yourself?
School-wise, I struggled because I was constantly bullied.
Yeah.
Because I was emotional.
Yeah.
And I was different.
Yeah.
I didn't fit into the lads that
Yeah,
played
yeah,
football. I didn't fit into anything else. So I was bullied.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my home life was, my mum was always working,
Yeah.
trying to keep a roof over our head, because there was me and my two sisters
Yeah.
and my mum. So my mum was always working 2 jobs, trying to keep a roof over our
Dad
heads.
not on the scene?
No, my dad went when I was 4 years old.
Okay. Are you the oldest?
No, I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest.
Yeah.
So your older sisters?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they would have experienced your dad.
Yeah.
So many years. Did you ever feel a little bit not anger or like jealousy, but did you ever feel like they got to experience it? You didn't? Did that play on your mind at all?
It does, yeah, because I never really had like a father figure growing up.
Yeah.
So I never had somebody teach me how to shave, how to be a man, and all these sort of things. So all of these, most things I learned from my sisters and my mum.
Yeah.
Because I learned how men treated them.
Yes.
And I learned from that.
Yeah.
And some of them were complete scumbags.
Yeah.
And I learned from that.
Yeah.
And I learned.
Because they were the male figures in your life.
Yeah. And I learned, hang on, I'm not going to be like that when I'm older. I'm not going to.
That's, yeah. So, okay. So you took that. You could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You could have gone the other way and were like, right, that's how women need to be treated.
Yeah. But I went the opposite way of.
Oh, I'm not going to treat, because you saw the pain. You saw the first-hand pain.
I saw the first-hand pain on my sisters.
Yeah.
And my mum, and that like sort of like molded me.
Yeah.
Into who I am now.
So out of that pain comes some good.
Yeah.
So you're on the right. So you could see that path. So you've left school. You haven't had a particularly great time at school.
No.
Did you do? What did you do there? Did you go straight into work?
I went straight into a catering apprenticeship.
Okay.
As a chef working at the Royal William in Crenham.
Yeah, no, Royal William.
Yeah. I was there for 3 years. And then I moved on to the Crown at Pagan Hill, where I stayed for 2 years. And then went on to work in bakeries for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then went on to work for Dairy Crest / Muller. And I was there for 8 years.
Okay.
And I was learning, I was always teaching myself stuff and trying to learn stuff because my mind gets busy.
Yeah.
And I want to do, and it was an active job, so I was constantly tired, so it was good.
Was that during the nights as well?
Yeah, I was doing days and nights, so I was doing
shifts too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing 2 days, 2 nights, then 4 days off.
Yeah. Yeah. My stepdad used to work at Wolsey's.
Yeah.
So we used to do a lot of shifts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, that's hard work.
Shift work is
not good
for
your mental side.
Yeah.
Like being active day, active night. Like we're not meant to do that.
No.
Are we? Okay, so 8 years Muller.
Yeah.
So what happened after that?
So
was this started when you started to find out about yourself? And
yeah, during like 1 year, I lost 3 family members.
I'm sorry about that.
My nan, my auntie, and my uncle.
Okay.
2 of which were down to alcohol-related issues.
Oh, okay. What you were saying earlier.
Yeah. So they were both addicted.
Yeah.
And they'd gone. One of them had gone through rehab and everything else. But the demon alcohol finally won.
Yeah, it's tough old sitch alcoholism. One of my good friends, his mum, alcoholic, and she wants to stop.
Yeah.
But she can't. Like those.
Yeah.
Those demons. They keep
you in. And then I had my marriage breakdown as well.
Yeah.
All
Because
within,
of
no,
so that was sort of
that was going on at the same time.
oh god, wow, you were really going for it then.
And then I moved here into this place, and then I started a new job, and I thought, oh, this is great. It's going to be a fresh start. I can clear my head of all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I worked for Bottle Green for 4 years.
Bottle Green, what's that?
They're a drinks manufacturing company.
Oh, okay.
So they make soft drinks, like the elderflower cordial and stuff.
Right, okay. Okay, yeah.
And I was there for between 3 and 4 years, I think. And I ended up burning myself out because I was working Sunday through to Thursday, night shifts, then having my son on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, then going straight into another night shift. And I was doing that every week. And then,
hence the burnout.
Hence the burnout, because I was still trying to manage everything at home, sleep, do everything.
Yeah.
And then it just got to a boiling point of, I remember walking to work one night and I was like, there was a real like dark thought in my head of like, I'm just going to chuck myself in front of this next lorry that comes along. And I was like, shit. I got to work. I was like, I need to stop.
Was that like a Eureka moment for you?
Yeah. I was like, I need to stop. I need to reevaluate.
Yeah. Wow. Why don't
And I was like,
back.
Yeah. And I was like, I remembered why I was doing what I was doing. Yeah. And it was for my son.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's the anchor. So he was like he's the anchor that keeps me level.
Yeah.
I'll always call him that because that's what he is. He's the anchor to me because he keeps me grounded. Yeah. He stops me being stupid.
Yeah. That honestly, I've heard so many people say anchor with friends.
Yeah.
Like, that's my anchor friend. I need that friend with family members and for children. But yeah, that honestly resonates so much with men.
Yeah. I think because we get that sense of compassion as well towards that certain person or...
Yeah. I read something a while back and I thought it was really good. It was just like, never underestimate how many men are still here purely because they wouldn't want their kids to be upset that they're gone.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't for their kids or a tight family member, they'd be gone.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And kids don't know.
No, they don't.
Because you're not going to sit down with your kid and go, right, I'm a manic depressive. I'm really sad. I would kill myself if you wasn't here. Do you want to eat your dinner?
Yeah. You're not going
to sit there and say, are you? You know what I mean? So, like, kids, because kids aren't stupid. They can read everything.
They understand, and they can see things. They can, and then after that, I thought, oh yeah, that's done. I'm done. Right. Spoke to the doctors. Oh, here, try these medications. One's to help you sleep, and one's to lift your mood a bit. And here, do a CBT course.
How do you find that CBT course? Like, it's not. I can understand the theory behind it.
I can.
But in practicality, it's not the best. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a room for the people.
Mine was over the internet. Like,
okay.
Like Zoom meeting, like sort of thing.
Yeah. Did you find it beneficial to you?
No.
At all? Or did it just get you thinking about other things?
It got me thinking about other things, and it got me thinking of like, I utilised some of the things that they taught me, like grounding exercises and stuff.
Yeah.
I utilised some of that, but the rest of it, I struggled to pay attention.
Yeah.
And when somebody's there talking at me, and it's just like, I just get bored. And I don't pay attention to any of it.
I hear that.
Whereas after that, I did something called DBT, which is directional based training.
Okay.
Which is more fixing the problem now and learning coping mechanisms along the way.
Yeah.
Rather than the CBT approach.
Yeah. I think that's good. Like, I think a lot of the time I know this is easier said than done, but when you come across the community that think this way, and I've been guilty myself, and like, you know, I've had my own journey, but we try and live in the future.
Yeah.
And what I've done in the last few years is I've really worked on trying to live in the present.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in here now.
Yeah.
I'm here now. And what a lot of the time with people when they're in them, let's just say, for example, I'm here, but I'm thinking about tomorrow. I'm not really present with you.
Yeah.
So you don't build connections. You don't
No.
build any sort of, you don't remember what you're doing.
No.
Because you're thinking about the next day.
Yeah.
And then you worry about the next day. And then the next day comes and you're like, oh, I've wasted all that energy. Because I used to panic, oh my God, I've got to do this, I've got to do that.
Yeah.
Just, I'm not saying don't plan. Like,
Yeah,
you've got
no.
to plan and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But
you got to sit in the moment.
Sit in the moment.
You got to enjoy those little wins, celebrate those little moments.
Yeah.
Say you are depressed and you've had a shower. That's a little win.
Yeah.
That's a small win.
Yeah.
Say the hardest thing I will always say is making that phone call to say you need help.
Yeah.
That phone call is brutal.
Yeah. But that's men in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah.
We don't go to the doctors at the best of time. We're waiting till we're on deathbed before we ring the doctor. We do, don't we? Like, you really need a doctor. I'm all right. But, and this is why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Because I want to raise that awareness to say to people, look, it is okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
I'm struggling. I haven't got the answers. Can you help?
Yeah.
Of course, mate. But let's just say, for example, therapy. A lot of people don't like therapy because they're like, what's it going to do? But you can't underestimate the power of just talking. The other person doesn't necessarily have to give you the answers.
No.
Just listen to me.
No.
Just listen to me rabbit on. You know what I mean? Just get it off the chest.
A lot of the time as well, you can save somebody's life with just 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Rather than, if that person is saying, I'm struggling, yeah, that's fine. I've got 5 minutes. Tell me what's wrong with you and let me help you try to understand you.
Yeah.
But that's the hardest thing we can ever do. Like you said, as men, especially, is asking for help because we're stubborn assholes.
No, I agree. I do feel there's a level of stubbornness. I think there's also a level of men thinking no one cares.
Yeah.
Right. So men have this massive sense of loneliness, and I won't get into it today, but one of the things that has come up before is women need to do more to understand their men. Right? Yeah. Now, this is where I sort of differ with this because I don't think you can put this sort of an issue on a whole bloody gender and say, right, women need to do more.
No, it's a whole society.
It's a whole society. I think it's a society, it needs to look after each other, not necessarily because a lot of the time with men, when they're at the end, right, when they're thinking about ending it, a lot of the time it's either relationships, financial, and health can come into it. It can, right? And I don't think people talk about that enough.
No.
You know, because I think that's why Robin Williams took his own life, was because he had some form of I can't remember what it was, but he was it was almost like a disease he was having, and down the line he was going to deteriorate, and he didn't want that.
He didn't want that to be.
Yeah, he didn't want that to be his sort of defining character, so he decided to take his own life. So health can come into it. A lot of time, like I said, it's financial or relationships.
Yeah.
And I've had quite a few people I talk to, and they say they've split up a relationship and they can't see their kids.
Yeah.
You know, and I think for men that's very difficult.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Very difficult. Did you have that when you split?
No.
So this is quite amicable
when we split up. We've been amicable the whole time.
That's brilliant.
And we've stayed amicable because we were like, yeah, we're splitting up, but we need to do whatever we do for my son, for our son.
Yeah.
We're going to try and work together.
Yeah.
To ensure he gets the best start in life.
That's brilliant.
And I vowed as soon as he was born, I was like, I'm going to be in your life. You're not going to have what I did.
Yeah.
You're going to have me guiding you.
Yeah. Well, you're one step ahead already.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it's what that worked well for you. But there's a lot of men who, they struggle because it tends to be, it's a bitter situation, and the child is always the victim.
Yeah, the child's stuck in the middle.
The child is always the victim. That's one thing I can never understand why parents fight the way they do. Because like you said, it's got to be about the child. Let them transition. Easy. But I just think when you look at it like that, it's easy to say, "Oh, it's women's fault why men feel the way they do," and I don't like that. I don't like labeling it.
It's a two-way street.
It's a two-way street, 100%.
It's two-way, possibly three if you put financial in the middle.
Yeah,
you got like a three-way street there.
Yeah.
And then if you add, say, children into it, you got a motorway.
It's a minefield.
Yeah.
And I think it's, without a doubt, I think it's very difficult. And I'm hoping with, like I said, with what I'm doing, I'm hoping I'm raising awareness. And like, I find your, like I said, with the TikTok and all, and I think what you do is, is really brilliant. And so how are you finding that? You finding it's going quite well? The audience growing and people like latching into it?
It started off really like quite low and quite not many views and not many, but it wasn't until I started finding a community that it started going up.
Yeah.
And because I'd spoken to different people and they would give me ideas on what to do.
Okay.
They'd be like, "Oh, we tried this," or we'd be bouncing off ideas to each other about content.
Yeah.
And we'd just be sat there like in like a voice call or something, just chatting about content that we could do and how we could. So one thing I started doing was on a Thursday night, I used to do a men's mental health and neurodivergent live.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So it was me and 3 other guys, and we'd literally just sat there and talked to each other and asked everyone's questions and views on stuff, and we'd find out what makes each other struggle and how it impacts our lives and
created that safe space.
Yeah, created that safe space.
Yeah.
And then as it's gone on, I've met even more people, and the people I work with now, we started our own Discord server.
Okay, yeah.
About a few weeks ago.
How's that going?
It's absolutely amazing. So we have our server is called Friends, which stands for friendship, routine, independence.
Right.
No, sorry. I'm trying to work out how to spell now. This is dyslexia kicking in.
It's called Friends, so it's Z.
Yeah.
So,
F is friends. R is routine.
Routine. I
is independence.
E.
Entertainment.
ND.
N is neurodiversity.
Right.
And S is for support.
Bang.
Because we have made this support network for chronic health people and neurodiversity, because we tried to bridge the gap and have a support network in place where we can support each other as well as others that are struggling.
I think that's brilliant, mate.
And so we've been slowly working. I met them in April. I met up with the people I'm doing it with now. First time I'd met somebody off of TikTok.
How'd that go?
And they were like, "Oh yeah, come and meet us." I was like, "Yeah, all right."
No, that was good though.
It was really good. We had one lady come from Ireland to meet us.
See, that's testament to what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're drawing these people in.
Yeah.
And let's quickly touch on that. So if you think about what we talk about with NHS earlier, not having the resources, do you think people are more leaning towards not self-help, but
self-diagnosis?
Because TikTok is given and other social media platforms also, but we're talking about TikTok now. because there are communities and
Yeah.
audiences, people are looking for them, finding them. You know, I think it's a good thing.
It's
Really, isn't it? You
it's
know
an
what I mean?
amazing thing, because we've had so many, like, we've come in contact with so many different members, but they haven't been able to get the help they need
Yeah,
because they can't, because it's too much for them
yeah,
and they don't understand it.
yeah,
And it's like, we have people coming in with like, I've got this diagnosis and I don't know how to break it down. And then somebody be like, oh, I've got that.
This is how I do it.
Yeah, this is how I manage. This is what this is what benefits me.
Yeah.
And like, we've set up channels on our Discord server for supplements for people to take. We've got books for people to read. We've got loads of resources and
that's brilliant, mate.
Stuff to actually help people and help.
Yeah.
And we've got within our neurodivergent area, we've got the lady I run it with, Phoenix. She's a home educator.
Okay.
So she home educates her 3 kids
Yeah.
who are all neurodivergent.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
she home educates them all, and she teaches people how
That's
to
brilliant.
how to home educate.
That's brilliant.
And then because I'm a trained chef and a baker, I'm teaching people how to bake, and I'm teaching people how to cook, and I'm showing people because a lot of people have, like you said before, about like low self-esteem and all this sort of stuff. A lot of people don't know how to cook, or they haven't been shown.
Yeah.
And
No, I get that.
And I've got there's a lady in our group, and her name's Holly, and she has the same eating disorder as my son.
Yeah.
And I was there talking to her, and I was like, "Oh, so what's your comfort food?" She goes, "Oh, soda bread," because she's from Northern Ireland. She's like, "Oh, cheese and bacon soda bread is my comfort food."
Yeah.
I said to her, "Would you like to make that? Would you like to make your own?" And she was like, "Yeah." So then I ended up teaching her how to make her own comfort food and her own way. And then it made me absolutely buzzing because I knew I had helped this person and
you wouldn't get that on the NHS.
Yeah, and it's the community. You don't get that. You don't get there's no NHS are too busy trying to throw medication at you.
I think it's easier to do that for them.
Yeah,
because and this is the thing. I'm not saying they don't care, but because they deal with so many people, you're just a number.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like when you said earlier about sitting there and talking to someone, like they're like, take these pills. Whereas when you sat in a community or you sat with someone who wants, like will listen, like a human connection, you know.
Yeah.
You know when it's genuine, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Feel validated as well. Once you're within that community, or you're with somebody that understands what you're going through, it's absolutely.
Mate, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And keep it up. Obviously, if there was, the people that you help and the people in your communities, I'm sure if they were now, they'd be saying the same thing.
Yeah. I'm very dismissive, and I'm like, I'm not used to people like paying me compliments because I went through the whole like bullying thing in my childhood. I'm not used to people like telling me good things about me.
I think personally, I think that's one. I think it's a man trait.
Yeah.
Right, and I think it's a British trait.
It's also neurodivergent because
we just don't like being told we've done a good job. We can't take praise. And the last interview I done, and I said to the same guy then, I was like, we don't praise ourselves enough.
No, we don't.
There's a fine line between a pat on the back and being egotistical.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm amazing. I just done that. Like, I just took a step. I'm great. Like, that's just stupid. Let's just say, for example, you've had a live and the live went really well, and someone's asked you for advice, and you've given advice, and it's changed their way of thinking or whatever, and they're like, "Thank you very much. You're amazing." Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Come off it. I've done well. I've done a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think we struggle to
With
saying it out loud.
neurodiversity as well, there's something called imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So you're constantly thinking the worst. You're constantly thinking the worst thing.
Yeah.
And
you think you're not capable of doing it.
You think lower of yourself because you.
Do you know, right? I've been a roofer for 30 years, right? Come off tools last year. But even up to the point before I come off, every new job I would start, or like a new roof I would start, I'd always have a little panic night before.
Yeah.
Oh, what if I don't do it right? Like, I've been doing it nearly 30 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know my stuff. But I would always think, oh, I don't know. God. I'm panicking. I'm thinking, oh, have I got that right? I've done it thousands of times before, but you just do. I think, you know, I think they always say with imposter syndrome, the more you know about something, the less confident you are.
Yeah.
Because let's just say, for example, maths, right? 1 + 1. You know it's 2.
Yeah.
The answer is 2. But you can still doubt yourself. Like, is it 2?
That self-doubt is just...
So, mate, honestly, I think you do really well. Keep it up. And, and I'm all for it. I think the more... I mean, it's one thing me doing what I do, and that's why I wanted to come and meet you today, was because you're covering a whole different side to what mental health is and what people understand mental health to be. Because it's not all, you know, just, it's not happy, sad.
Yeah.
There's a lot in between.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a lot of steps up the mountain.
So, keep going, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Right, it's that time of the interview.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question. No, I'm going to... Right, let me start that again. Okay, so it's that time of the interview now where I'm going to ask Jim the question left by Jordan. And then we'll ask Jim his own question for the next guest. So the question left by Jordan. Now, I give you a little bit of an heads up on you to ask a question. If your 16-year-old self was sat here now, what advice would you give him? Knowing everything that you know, obviously now, what advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
I would tell them that they're not broken and to carry on, because there's going to be some really good times ahead.
Right. That's all right. Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah,
keep going.
Yeah,
because at that age, the world can be scary.
Yeah, at that age, you finish school and everything's a blur.
Got to be an adult.
Yeah,
I like that. Okay. Okay. So when we have the next guest in, we like to leave them a question to start them off. So have you got a question for the next guest?
Oh, I have.
Give it to us.
If you could meet a celebrity that has died due to mental health, how would you convince them to not do it?
Oh, you dirty bastard. That's a great question. That's a great question.
Or somebody else in your life.
No, stick with the celebrity. Stick with the celebrity. I think, Jimmy, that's dirty. That's a good question. Oh God, do you know what? I'm gonna have to have a think about that myself. Yeah, we've had some crazy questions on.
Mine would be probably Chester Bennington from Linkin Park.
Yeah.
The lead singer of Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Mine would be him.
Yeah. And how would you persuade him, or try to persuade him? Because as you know, it's very difficult when they've made their mind up.
I would show them how much they mean to the people in their lives.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the answer to most people. I think.
Yeah, show them how they feel.
Yeah.
To show them what impact they're making in their life, and show them what they've done for others.
Yeah. Without
even realizing.
Yeah.
Especially with like musicians.
Yeah, because if you imagine you just sat down in front of the telly and played an hour's Netflix special.
Yeah.
So look what's happened when you die. Look at the people that was affected. Yeah, that's crazy when you think of it like that. That's a great question. Right. Yeah. So I think we've covered quite a lot of issues there, and great question at the end. So I'm very happy with that. I think that's going to play on a lot of people's minds. And
Yeah.
by all means, please leave your answers in the comment section. And as always, like and subscribe. Gotta get my subscribers up. I've got a lot of older people who watch these channels,
Yeah.
but they don't know how to like and subscribe. And I'm constantly getting messages like, "Oh, great interview, but how do I like and subscribe?" I'm like,
just press the thumbs up.
well, you've got to have an account with YouTube.
Oh yeah,
you've got to have an
yeah.
account to comment or like. So they think a lot of people when they see subscribe, they think you got to pay.
Yeah.
You don't got to pay. It's just to say I like the channel.
It's to say I like the channel and I want to see more content.
By all means. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I think it's been a good interview. So thank you very much.
It's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Check him out as well. I'll put your tag in there for your channel. Please check out Jim's channel as well and his TikTok account. And so you go live most Thursdays?
The first Thursday of every month.
First Thursday every month. Check it out. It's a safe space. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.